Welcome to Bituminous Coal. On today's show, I'll take you all around East Central Indiana. And yes, I've heard you. You need more trains. So today, you will get more trains. That said, I would be remiss if I didn't show you some of the flooding and the impacts to railroading in Indiana, especially to the Whitewater Valley, which was hit especially hard. Floods and trains. Maintenance of way trains. Street running trains. Bridges with trains. Trains! Let's go to Connorsville for a special report. Let's go to new locations in Indiana like Fairland and Rushville. Let's go to the trains! Yes, let's go to Connorsville, Indiana. Places upstream of Connorsville, like Newcastle, received 17 inches of rain in 2 days. That water came cascading down the Whitewater River and smack dab into Connorsville and other places on the line, such as Laurel and Metamora. Not 1 mile of the 17-mile line was spared a washout. The railroad estimated more than 1,000 washouts. Despite this, the railroad is resolute that it will rebuild and it will run excursions again. I certainly hope they do. As I noted with the nickel plate roundhouse video, all it takes is money. Well, I was wrong. It takes money and it takes a lot of hard work, together with that resolute attitude. The Whitewater Valley Railroad needs both money and hard work. You're looking here at their relief fundraising page. I'll have links below in the description that you can click through to. And on Saturday, August the 23rd, volunteers are sought to aid in a number of tasks. Projects may include mechanical equipment cleaning, cleaning buildings, coaches, and cabooses, debris pickup, automotive work, possibly even track work. Volunteers should bring PPE, masks, eye protection, gloves, wading boots or work boots. Please wear clothing you expect to get wet and muddy. Where and when to meet? 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, August 23rd. Meet at 300 Southeastern Avenue in Connorsville, Indiana, to help them get the cleanup accelerating. And I will be there. I'll see you there. We'll get muddy and wet together. But it'll help out our railroading friends who are very much in need. I think of all the equipment that we're seeing roll by here as I drove past, what worries me the most is these coaches, because if they have carpeting on the floors, of course they have upholstery, the seating, that is so vulnerable to floodwater, any kind of water really, but throw muck and mud into the mix and it could be a very, very serious problem. So if you can, please join me. If you can, please throw them some coin. They need the help. This is their moment of need. Let's rise up and help them. And now, Bituminous Coal visits Rushville, Indiana for the first time. And here we are faced with a ponderous question. All right, I'll put this before you, the jury. Is this street running? See, I look at this and I say, this is street running. The tracks are right down the middle of the road. But I've heard detractors say, well, no, wait a minute. There are these utility poles between the track and the roadway. And there's some curbing in there, too. I don't know what material difference that makes. The track's still down the center line of the road. And for me, that's street running. So I'm very interested to hear what you have to say about that. You, the jury? I mean, okay, right here, not street running. As we proceed easterly, street running. There's the street on either side of the tracks. There are cars parked there. How is this different from Elwood? Except that has poles in it. I'm mystified. How do we not call this street running? Makes no sense to me. All right, let's go to Elwood, Indiana, because nobody is going to say, well, actually, that isn't street running. No, everybody's going to say, this is street running, of course. Oh, yeah. Street running. Let's go to another place for the very first time. Let's go to Fairland, Indiana. Fairland is on CSX's Shelbyville Secondary. It's former Big 4, New York Central. The Beech Grove shops are on this line. Well, it was such a short train. I don't think it would be terribly indulgent to look at it again, do you? Nah. The locomotive here is an interesting one. It's a rebuild, and it has sort of a funky nose. There's a few of these out there, and they can regularly be seen at Hawthorne Yard and on locals that operate out of Hawthorne in Indianapolis. This is one such turn. More trains! Next stop, Muncie. I've gone here before many times, and it's amazing how often I'll run into this guy. Hey, Zach.
Know who this is? Oh, you're on camera. Hello.
This southbound manifest is on Norfolk Southern's Newcastle district, and it's crossing the double-tracked CSX Indianapolis Line. Ooh, love these metal slabs. Oh, I do love some mixed freight. And wedged in here, a Conrail coil carrier. Yeah, fallen flag. And another Grand Trunk. All right. Now here's a strange thing. Here comes our DPU, but it doesn't sound like it's working. I don't think it's powered. I mean, why have it if you're not going to use it? Strange. Topic of discussion lately has been how the Class 1 railroads aren't putting their logos and names on the sides of cars. They're not owning them. But auto racks seem to be an exception. We see some new ones in here, and they do have the Class 1 logos. Oh, it's always fun to watch trains with Zach, the unofficial mayor of Muncie, at trackside. Yeah. Up next, Richmond, a bridge and a rail train. Well, this scene will look familiar to many viewers. I'm starting from the Cardinal Trail, the former C&O of Indiana, just to see what's going on, and lo and behold, I arrive. There's a rail train parked in the siding. This is atop the new bridge. And it's a fairly lengthy train. It makes you wonder, where are these rails going to be set? And now a return trip. Get a little peek through this bridge over Simhagen Parkway. I'm about to fly over the Whitewater River here. And the Whitewater River, of course, is the source of the misery in Connorsville for the people who live there and for the Whitewater Valley Railroad. And whoa, what's this? Do I see orange up ahead? Well, this is proving to be very interesting. I've wanted to find one of these for some time, and today's the day. These are some curious units. Painted orange for maintenance of way use. Engineering department. Now, I know that elicited some excitement. I'm not going to get into it. I'm aware of it. My excitement is about the train and this maintenance of way equipment. Certainly, there's going to be some rail work done here, some rail replacement work, or maybe new rail. Now, that would be very exciting. I'll keep my eyes and ears open for this. But now it's time to go back and have a look at the river because of the flooding. I wanted to see, well, how's the bridge holding up? The bridge is fine. Actually, the pad to the left, that got my interest now because that's meant to stay. And with all that water, you had to wonder about the condition. The water is no longer at a flood stage, but you can tell that pad has seen some erosion. Hopefully that doesn't ruin the city's plans for its future use of that pad. We can see here that there are steel beams between the stone pillars and the new steel bridge decking. It's still exposed. The intent is that it will not remain exposed. It will be encased in concrete. This work hasn't happened yet. Here's another look at the pad and its erosion. All things considered, that's pretty remarkable how it held up when you consider it was completely underwater and that water was moving at great speed. You look to the left, you see the Whitewater River flowing and flowing pretty hard, but this is at a much lower elevation than the water was in the flood stage. And this maintenance of way, I love seeing these cars, and I especially love seeing on the side, do not hump. All I want to picture is this train going down the hump at the yard. That would be outstanding. And here's a crazy idea. If the railroads are going to close a hump, I think they should have hump yard rodeo and run stuff like this down it for the amusement of the people. Yeah, that would be fantastic. I'd buy a ticket. Very interesting, but no action at Richmond. So let's go next to Indianapolis at C.P. Dale. Here, CSX's maintenance of way is in action. This has been quite a parade, but I really love these two boxcars that have been repurposed for maintenance of way use. Train M688 is a daily train running from CSX's Osborne Yard in Louisville, Kentucky, and it makes almost the entire run over the Louisville and Indiana Railroad using trackage rights. The destination is CSX's Avon Yard. And this is a CSX train, not a Louisville and Indiana LIRC train. Train 688 has train M687 as the flip side. It also runs daily in the opposite direction. Oh, and that's an excellent mixed freight train. And I love that CSX will tack on maintenance of way or anything else that they need to move along and get to Avon. The last thing I will take you to today on Bituminous Coal is flooding at Noblesville, Indiana. Let's go to 2 locations in Noblesville and see former nickel plate bridges with floodwaters below. Now, I'm not a storm chaser, but it was hard to ignore this kind of thing. I don't like to put myself in harm's way, so I'm not a storm chaser. But this railroad has meant a lot to me. I had a job working in Noblesville, and I would be able to pass by it almost every day and see this bridge. To see it underwater like this was just astonishing. There have been many flood events. I worked for the Hamilton County Surveyor's Office at one point. We dealt with drainage, so we paid attention to water levels and things like this. 2003, there were several flood events, and those had come close to 1913's levels, but did not touch it. This flood exceeded 1913. And you can see at the bottom of the bridge, the flow is touching the bottom of the decking, and that's where it becomes dangerous. That's where the bridge can become dislodged. And I was concerned. I was rating it at this moment as I was shooting. I was rating the survival for this bridge at about a 50-50 rate. And to picture what happens if this bridge topples. I know in 1913, on the bridge that was here before, that did topple. The railroad placed loaded coal cars on top of the bridge to give it extra weight in the hopes that that would stabilize it and keep it put. It failed. There were no such attempts here. Now, the thing that the Nickel Plate Railroad, or in those days the Lake Erie and Western, they learned. Okay, 1913 flood happened. Let's raise this one up just a little bit higher. And they did, and thank goodness they did.
That's pretty crazy, huh?
I'm no storm chaser. I saw this. I got the heck out of Noblesville. Earlier in the morning in Noblesville, this is at Allisonville Road, which we are approaching now in this view. I'm going to turn to the right, which is to say north. And this is not the river. Well, it is now at this moment, but it's not meant to be. This is Allisonville Road, and you can see for about a half mile to the north, the river has spilled its banks, and now the roadway is the river. All right, now I've turned around and I'm flying southerly on Allisonville Road, which is the river. And now you can more properly see where the river actually is to the right. And it's flowing hard over there. Stony Creek comes in and makes confluence with the White River in this area, which is why it historically floods virtually every year. Every spring, well, I'm approaching this bridge. This is former Nickel Plate. It is now the Nickel Plate Trail. And the bike riders seem unperturbed by the flooding. They're going to ride their bikes, you know. Hey, good for them. Bully. But every spring this does flood, and this intersection gets closed down. For a day, maybe two. And look at that house right there. Oof. When the railroad was active, I used to fantasize about owning that house. Wouldn't that be cool? On days like today, probably not so much. If the bottom of the bridge decking is 13 foot 9 inches, what would you guess the water level to be there? In Noblesville, the water elevation rose to a level of 20 foot plus over normal pool. 20 feet of water. Yow. Well, that's a wrap on today's show. You know, I was going to pitch my Buy Me a Coffee and my cameo here, but today I will instead ask you to help out the Whitewater Valley Railroad. It really is their time of need, and I'll get by just fine in the meantime. I do, however, want to give big thanks to Scott, to Dan, and to Dennis for your support of this channel. Thank you kindly. I do hope you enjoyed today's mix of trains and new-to-me locations, and a little bit of reporting. I hope you'll come back again soon to bituminous coal. I'll take you to the trains!